Welcome, readers. This is Literally Books. My name is Virgil, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Dragon and Ari, and we're going to talk about books that we have in the queue to read that we're interested in and excited about. Okay, so for the last book I'm going to bring up, Conrad's The Heart of Darkness. I read that book a long time ago. It's not a very large book either. Read it a long time ago and remember almost nothing about it. So while scrolling through titles that were available for free through my Audible Plus catalog, I noticed that they had The Heart of Darkness read by Kenneth Branagh. And I was immediately intrigued because I really like Kenneth Branagh. And I'm like, well, I'd always wanted to reread this book. And this would be an excellent way to do that. So, especially since I know it's a classic, and it's for me when I hear that, I'm like, okay, I'm interested to find out why. Why is this book considered to be that way? Why do we think this book from another era, from another era's era almost? It's been so far gone now. Why is it considered a classic? What can I get out of it? So I have read a little bit of it. I've enjoyed the little bit that I read, and of course, I always enjoy Kenneth Branagh's speaking voice and the way he, presents himself. And if somebody doesn't know, Kenneth Branagh is the actor. He does a lot of Shakespearean stuff, a lot of the Shakespearean movies that they had in like the '90s and early 2000s, like Much Ado About Nothing. He did Henry V. I think he did a version of Hamlet. So just a cool actor and. Yeah, just a cool and a really neat voice. Really always enjoyed anything he's been in. So I don't know. Yeah, so it's kind of a cheesy way to say I want to read this book is because this actor I really like is going to read it. But
no, I think
the last one was kind of the illustration of an alien.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not so my criteria are really high right now.
Well, no, that's fun.
So
there's so many different ways that you can experience a book in general. If you love an actor and they ended up doing an audio book, I think that's amazing. I feel like you're getting kind of like the best of both the book world and like movie world.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's really cool. I like what you were saying too about, you're like, why is this book a classic? Why is it considered a benchmark? Why is it always compared to other works? Heart of Darkness is one that I've wanted to read for a while too. But again, as another one of those books that like it's a classic, and then I'm like, well, I don't even know really what it's about. I just know that people really like it, and so it'll be cool to hear what. Really, after all of this, it would be nice to hear how all of us felt about our books, or like where our progress is at. So maybe we should think about that. But it would be interesting to hear your take on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness afterwards, and see why you think that it should be recognized, or if.
I'd like to talk about, that's within all of them. I'd like to talk about, how I felt about the book reading it and how I felt after it's done. Just in the little bit that I had gone through so far, I liked it. I liked the way that it started off. Sometimes, you start a story starts and you kind of get it sets a certain mood. Like you can kind of say, oh, okay. And so I enjoyed the way that the book began. I liked how it presented itself, at least at the beginning, it presents itself as someone relating a story, right? So these guys are on a boat and he's going to relate this, the captain is relating a story about an earlier experience that he had to the people on the boat. They're kind of all lounging around. And so he's sort of like, and I get the experience that he relates is the story that you're reading, right? The story that you go on to experience. The whole rest of the book is him. What I gather, I don't remember everything, but yeah. So it's like a frame story in that sense. Although I don't know that they back out of the frame story a whole lot, but that's what it is. It sort of sets up. he's telling this story is this captain telling these other guys about an experience that he had.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's pretty good. I mean, and I like you say, it's you can kind of sometimes you find an actor that you like who happens to do an audiobook, and it kind of really draws you in, and it kind of can add a little something extra, a bit of a segue. But I think about one of the really great audiobook experiences I ever had was reading Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five by Ethan Hawke, and that was to me that. I mean, I don't really want to ever hear another version of that audiobook, but that one I really I like Ethan Hawke, and I really liked his reading of it. It just really did something for me. So I don't know. So that was pretty cool. But that's it. I'm done. I'm stopping.
Well, he's a fantastic actor and beloved actor for a reason. So he knows how to put on a good performance. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. My last book that I have to share is actually a art book. Now there is words. It's not just me looking at pictures, but it's called Accidentally Wes Anderson. I guess it is a New York Times bestseller. So this little sticker thing on here says. But basically what this is it's a book that is showing beautiful photographs from around the world. And it could be everything from a telephone to a beautiful building to a shot from above of like umbrellas at the beach. But all of these photographs have a quality to them that the viewer can recognize as being kind of within the taste of a Wes Anderson film. The book is not by Wes Anderson in any way. He did write the foreword, which I found hilarious because in the little foreword that he writes, he's like basically saying, after reading this, now I understand what it is to be accidentally myself. But now I just have to figure out how to be deliberately me. So, which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, it's really beautiful, honestly. As you would expect from a Wes Anderson movie, like the colors are just really vivid and just kind of just the whole rainbow. A lot of really beautiful places, and it's kind of broken up from different regions of the world. That's the best way it's kind of like grouped, like you'll have like Northern Europe and Southern Europe and South America, and so it's kind of broken up a little bit. But basically it just has a picture of something from some location around the world, and then it'll give you a little story behind it. So it'll tell you like where it is at. So whether it's, let's say for the state side, it'll say, okay, so it's in the U.S. This is the city and state that it's in, when it was founded, and then just a little blurb about the object, the place, that location, whatever it may be. And so I think it's going to be just a really fun, light read. It's going to be kind of like a travel book, really, because I get to kind of check out some different places from around the world that are beautiful. I think I'm really going to like the pieces that are going to show, like the interiors of trains. I know that there's a couple of those in there. I know that there's one that I had flipped to when I first picked it up, of like a public bathhouse. And it was just gorgeous. So I'm excited to look at more of this. But you get stuff like I was saying, where the picture of the overhead at the beach with umbrellas, and so all the umbrellas are really brightly colored, and or you'll have just like it could be anything. I think one of the things that they showed in here was just like this little pancake stand out in the middle of nowhere, and it just has a really colorful, like it just says like pancakes in like bright colors. This like little wooden shed, and it's just beautiful, and it tells you a little bit about it. So yeah, so I'm excited for that. Something a little bit different. Yeah, that's my last book.
Cool.
Okay, so back to me, right? I'm the one.
Yeah, you're the
It's
one.
you.
I'm the one. Okay. Okay. So to wrap this up with, I believe now, because we did three, so the ninth book to discuss on our to be read list tonight
Okay.
is Gideon the Ninth. And I'm going to butcher this name, but it's something like Tamsin Muir. So Gideon the Ninth is, by its cover, like the whole Judge book by its cover, this is not something I ever would have picked up. And I'm not sure why eventually I did. I think I was probably perusing the shelves at the store and was like, okay, I'm going to look at this even though it's not something I would normally grab. And there was things about it that just kind of appealed to me. So the reason I say it's not something I would normally grab is because it looks like kind of a heavy metal album cover. Like there's lots of skeletons and the person's wearing black and they have skull face makeup and they're wearing aviators. And then the font is very like metal band style. Anyway, and obviously it's called Gideon the Ninth, and it is about a necromancer. What's interesting is that it's about they're like a servant or something in what's called the House of the Ninth, and there are, I don't know how many, I think there's like 12 houses or 11 houses total. And it's like a whole empire of necromancers. Like all of the great houses, the 11 or whatever it is, great houses are all houses of necromancy. And but they each have kind of different specialties. Again, I don't know too much about it. I'm kind of gleaning this from, there's like a little like kind of poem thing that goes with it. That, oh, first is the blossoming flower, and the second is the darkness and something blah blah blah. I'm not actually, but it's like that. So it seems like there's several different. It's like this mega empire, and there are these great houses. And I just thought that the idea, like, of necromancy is interesting because I don't typically see books or stories where the necromancer is the main character. Like, we usually think of the necromancer as the villain. And I would guess that this character, Gideon the Ninth, is probably going to end up being some kind of anti-hero, pseudo-villain kind of character. I don't know, But I like the idea that the protagonist is a necromancer. I like the fact that it's going to deal with different schools of necromancy, just because that's a magic within fantasy that isn't much explored, I guess, or just I'm less familiar with. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. That said, despite the fact that I'm describing this in such a way that it may seem like this is a fantasy novel, it is not. It is a sci-fi novel. It is about a giant space empire, and there are starships and warships, and each one of the houses actually rules, like, I don't know if it's like just planets or if there's whole star systems, but it seems like it's very, space opera, large scale, like empire in that sense. So it's not actually fantasy. It's a sci-fi novel about a bunch of necromancers.
I love that.
Yeah. Cool. So that whole thing, I was just like, well, this just sounds crazy. And obviously, I think the last book I mentioned as well, I kind of like crazy and different. I like mishmash genre stuff. So yeah.
It's cool. You'll have to let us know how that goes. I actually I think I do know what book you're talking about. I don't know much about it, but I do know what book you're talking about. So it'd be interesting to hear what your take is.
Yeah, I will definitely report back. This is all three of these books I was hoping to get to, because of course school's starting soon, and I was like, when school ended last semester, yes, now I can get like all of my personal reading done, and all three of these books were on the list of books that I was hoping to get to, and now I have less than a month And I'm like, oh man, like, I
Clock is
didn't even get to
ticking.
these three. The clock is ticking. Now, I did do a lot of personal reading over the summer, and I got a lot of stuff done. Like I got through the whole First Law trilogy. I'm reading like a BattleTech book. Uh, I don't know. There was other things. I've read several books during the summer, but I didn't get to these three. So hopefully,
Yeah, I hear you. It happens. I mean, I'll read this book next. Well, just like the book I'm reading now is not the book I anticipated reading. And actually is a great book, but that's a whole nother subject. So.
I know we'll have to hear if you're successful in being able to read it all before classes start.
in a month.
Yeah.
I still have. So actually, I guess I lied because I said I got through the whole First Law trilogy, but actually we haven't. We're still on the third book. I think we're really close to the end, but
Spoilers,
so
spoilers.
yeah, got to finish that.
There's a third book. Don't tell me there's a third book.
I still got to finish the yeah. I still got to finish the BattleTech book, although I'm almost done with that one. Yeah, so
That's on you.
yeah, I know. It's like 3.2 books I got to read in the next month.
Yeah.
Very ambitious. At least
Yeah.
it would be for me.
I've been killing it on my annual reading. I don't know what I'm at, but
Yeah,
I
you're
know that
definitely up.
I've read more this year than I've read in a long time. Like more consistently and pushing myself to read. So that's cool. I'm glad about that. It's
Yeah, I
good.
think
I'm
that's
getting through the back catalog.
yeah, I
I'm
think
at
that's part of the reason why this is. I mean, it's nice and fun to make things to kind of put out there in the world and see if there's some other people that are enjoying the same things that we do or can give recommendations or excited about what we're excited about. But also it kind of pushes us to just do more of the things that we care about.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can definitely say that, like, because like when we started this, I was like, you guys were like, oh, will you join us on this, you know, radio show we're doing or whatever, and I'm like, well, that sounds great, except that you guys read a lot more than I'm like, I don't have the back catalog of books that you do. But I can definitely say that doing so has inspired me to read more. So I appreciate
Cool.
that. You guys are,
Haha.
yeah, the trickery.
Trickery. And hopefully we've just tricked you into reading something that we've recommended.
Totally.